Hello and welcome back to the Architectury Multiplatform Modding in Minecraft tutorial series. And after 2 months, because I've been busy, we are going now to finish the bull we started with in the last episode. And with finishing the bull, I mean 3 things that I want to do in this episode. The first one is we want to have a spawn egg for our bull so that we can spawn it without the summon command. The second one is we want to have a baby variant of our bull because that doesn't exist right now. And the last thing is we want to add breeding in a correct way, because right now if we were to breed 2 bulls, we would get cows because the bull extends the cow class here. But we want to change that so that we can actually get bulls by breeding them. And in this instance, I'm also going to show you a lot of the other things you can do with an entity class and how to modify the behavior of such an entity. But let's start with the first one and one of the more simpler things in this list, and that is adding a spawn egg. For this, we want to head to our tutorial mod items class and first add a registry supplier. So as always, we make a public static registry supplier for item and call that bool underscore spawn underscore egg. And then down here where we initialize all the items, we initialize our bool spawn egg with the register item method with bool underscore spawn egg as an ID. And then with a supplier, we now use the new, and now it's important not to use the net Minecraft world item, spawn egg item, because that requires us to have an initialized entity type, and we don't have that in this case. And Architectury provides us for this reason with the Architectury spawn egg item, which takes all the pain of making sure that everything is registered in the correct order of our shoulders and makes sure everything works. So we're going to use that. And this requires now 2 parameters. The first one is our entity type as a registry supplier, and the second one are the item properties. Our entity type we have in the tutorial mod entity types class and is a bool. And the second one we just do the base properties for our bool spawn egg, and as always add it to our creative mode tab so that we can access the item. That's the easy part with registering the item in the game. Now we want to make sure that the item looks good in the game, so let's start by adding a translation key in a language file here, and we can just copy that in. So as always, item tutorial mod bool spawn egg is a bool spawn egg. You've seen that a lot of times now. And as with all other items, we also need an item definition, which handily is already here. So I'm just going to add it to Git. And that is just as every other item definition we've done before. Similar thing is with the item model, which we also need. This also is similar to all other item models we've done before. And as you can see, we are referencing a specific texture here. And that's the thing, we need also a texture for this. Keep in mind that we are here before the 121.5 update, which has the new texture thing and all of that. This is 121.4. So all the other spawn eggs all still have the old textures, but in this case, we need to provide a different texture here. And it's based on the new texture, so the spawn egg item looks a bit different, but functions in the exact same way as all the others. That's everything we need to do to get a spawn egg into the game. And in the next step, we are now going to make sure that this spawn egg can actually also be used to create a baby variant, because if you remember, when you right click with the spawn egg on an existing entity, it spawns a baby version. But for that, we need set baby version. And the thing is, right now we don't have one. And why is that the case? If we go to a bool renderer, we extend the mob renderer here. And the problem with the mob renderer is that the mob renderer only allows us to render one variant of an entity. And we need to render 2 different variants because we also have the baby version. And for this, we are going to replace the mob renderer with the ageable mob renderer. Now, don't be confused why this class is deprecated. That is because this will be replaced in future versions, but it is the class we need to use for 121.4 and earlier. And what you can see is that this 0.7 here this float has turned red because this is the shadow radius, and we still need it, but we need a second model parameter here. As you can see, it says we need a baby model here. So let's just copy the bool model we have before, and we now need to change this model layer here to bool_baby, which we don't have yet, but we need to create it later. And with that, we tell the game essentially that this renderer should render two states. The first one is the regular bull model, and the second one is the baby version of the bull. Both use the same texture, obviously, but the model layers are slightly different. And we're going to get to that now, because we need to define the model layers in our tutorial model layers definition. For this, I'm just going to copy the bool model layers here and replace it with bool_baby, and also change the ID here to bool_baby. Now we need to define this baby model layers, and for this we're going to go to our bool model class, because here we define the complete layer definition for the bull as it's rendered in the game, but we want to create a baby version of that. And we could now create an entirely separate body layer definition for that, but the game handily provides us with a far more simple way to do that. And for this, we're going to add a mesh transformer called baby transformer. And what this mesh transformer does is it takes the entire body layer definition we create down here and scales it down. And in this case, according to those parameters here, and those are just taken from the regular cow, so that the size is then in the end exactly the same. But that is the scaling, how this is done with the baby model transform that is provided to us by the game. For simplicity, we're also going to add a getHead method down here in the bottom, which we won't use in this class right now, but this allows us to get the head because the head is not scaled together with the rest of the model. With that, we have a way to generate a model layer for the baby version of the model. We still need to register those, and for this we are first going to go to our tutorial mode entity rendering, where we've registered the model and the renderer for the regular bull right now, and we are now going to do that for the baby version as well. And for this we add a new entity model layer registry.register, in this case for a bool_baby. And here in the back, we now want to create a new supplier and call bool model.createBodyLayer.apply. And with this apply, we can now apply a mesh transformer which is our bool model.baby transformer. And that's everything we need to do to add a baby model layer definition for this. But as I said in the last episode, this currently has some issues, or at least with the specific versions I'm using in this project here with Neo4j. So to make sure that it also will work under Neo4j, we need to also register the layer definitions for the baby in the Neo4j subproject down here. But with that should also work with the Neo4j mod loader. That concludes everything we need to do to add a baby version of our bull to the game. Let's now make sure that we can actually get the baby version of our bull by breeding. And for this, we're going to go to the bull class, because right now the bull class just extends the regular Minecraft cow. And as you can see in here, we have the getBreedOffspring method. And this specifies the child that comes out of a breeding process with this entity. So if we want to change that, we just need to override it, getBreedOffspring here. And instead of returning the cow we got in the super method, we are now going to spawn a new tutorial mod entity types.bool.get to get the actual registered entity type. And then we can call the create method with our server level and the entity spawn reason.breeding, so that the game knows that the resulting, in this case bull, has spawned through breeding process. That's everything we need to do to change the outcome of the breeding process. And at this point, I'm going to quickly go over some of the other things you could change here, because as you can see, the cow class also specifies a lot of different other things. I'm going to quickly go over those. The first one here is the mob interact method that you might want to change if you want to have a different behavior when interacting with the mob, because the cow, obviously, when you right click with an empty bucket, you get a milk bucket. You could, for example, modify that so that if you right click a bull with a stick, you get a wood plank block or something like that. If you want to, you can just override the mob interact method. Then we have those 5 methods here for the sounds. So we have the sound events for ambient, hurt, and death sound. If you register a sound event, you then can replace those sounds. I'll probably show that in a later video, how to do custom sounds. Then we also have the step sound when the cow walks and the volume, so how loud the cow actually is. Then we have the register goals up here, which is also quite important because that specifies essentially the complete behavior. How does the cow, or in our case a bull, behave? So you have those different goals, and in the order of this priority they are checked. So the lowest priority is checked first, in this case a float goal, for example, which means the cow or bull tries to stay above the water if they are in water. And then the more down we go, the more unimportant the goals get. So they will also always try to do the highest priority goal that's currently reasonable to do. So for example, the random look around goal, just walking through the world and doing essentially nothing, is the least important one of those that are registered in the cow class. And the breed goal, for example, on 2 here, that is that 2 in love or in breeding mode entities of this type will find each other and create an offspring. That's the breed goal. The tempt goal is when you hold a wheel in the hand and the cow follows you. Looking at player goal, the name describes what it does. So if you want to change the behavior, you can just look at all the goals that exist and choose the ones you want or discard the ones you don't want. And the last one, and I'm just for fun changing this right now for a bull, so to show you how you can do that, is the isFood method here. This is relevant for determining if an item can be used to put this entity into breeding mode. So for a cow, for example, that's wheat, or in this case, the item tag cow food, because wheat is tagged with that. But if you want to change that, we can just override the isFood method. So let's change that isFood, and we're just checking if the stack is a diamond, because our bulls like diamonds. So with that, we should be able to use diamonds to breed our bulls. That's everything we want to do for now, and let's jump in the game and figure out if it works. And with that, welcome to the game. In NewForge in this case, if we head to our creative menu and our tutorial mod tab, we can find our bull spawn egg here. And I'm also going, as I said, get a bit of wheat and a diamond. And let's spawn 2 bulls. And as you can see, the spawn egg spawns bulls. And if I now right click a bull with the spawn egg again, you can see we get a baby bull. And as you can also see, they still follow the wheat because we haven't changed the tempt goal to use the diamonds. But I can right click those bulls with the wheat and they do absolutely nothing because they need diamonds for food. And if we do that, the 2 fall in love and create a baby bull. And with that, the breeding works in NeoForge. Let's check the same in Fabric. And in Fabric, we can also use the bull spawn egg to spawn a bull. We can also use it to spawn a baby bull, and the wheat still makes the bulls follow us. We can not breed them with the wheat though. We can use diamonds for that. And then they fall in love, and we get, you might have guessed it, a baby bull. Let's see the horns, there they are. And with that, you now know how to add spawn eggs, you know how to add baby variants for your custom mobs, and you know how to change the behavior of the mobs. And that concludes the mobs part for now. And in the next episodes, I'm actually going over some ideas you had in the comments, because during the last 2 months, there were quite a few comments that I find very interesting to go over. So I'll be doing that in the next episode. And see you then. Until then, goodbye. And thanks for watching.